So a very disturbing story coming out of North Korea. Now, first I have to explain, you should take it with a big grain of salt because there's only one unidentified source, which is, of course, often the case in North Korea because it's very, very hard to get news out of there. A South Korean newspaper, Jungang Ilbo, which is a conservative paper, has this unidentified source, and they explain that there are about 7 different cities where they've done public executions recently in North Korea, and they've killed about 80 people all in all. Now, again, if this source is to be believed. Now, understand, the other reason why I say that is because there's a couple of organizations that are whole job is to bring out news about North Korea in South Korea. And one of them says that they believe the story. The other one has not gotten any information about it. So that's relevant to all of this. And of course, look, as much as we're against North Korea, and I think that it's a dictatorial system, not I think it is a dictatorial system, and it has done countless atrocities. There's a lot of people in South Korea that want to do even more propaganda against North Korea. So look, and you know what? If North Korea wanted to dispel it, they could open it up to the press, which of course they never will do because they are a dictatorship. So I'm just giving you that all as background because the story is incredible. So now they think that this might be a part of the series of executions that began when the Unhasu Orchestra, that's a state-run orchestra that First Lady Ri Sol-ju used to participate in, when a lot of them were executed and charged with pornography for simply dancing in videos. So there's certainly been some executions that are outrageous in North Korea, and we've reported that on that before. In this case, they're saying about 10 people were killed in each city, including in Wonsan. They brought them into a stadium filled with 10,000 people, and then tied them to a stake, and then machine gunned them so bad they were unrecognizable afterwards. So now, look, these kind of public executions, they're not unheard of. The Taliban used to bring people into stadiums and do something similar in Afghanistan before our invasion. Now, a lot of madness has gone on since the invasion as well, but that was one thing that used to happen there, and it's certainly possible that it happens in North Korea. Now, the reasons are amazing that, for these executions. One is that they were watching or illegally trafficking South Korean videos. Can you imagine being executed for watching a South Korean TV show? Now, look, whether they actually got executed for that is not as material as the fact that that is an executable offense in North Korea. That at a minimum, you could be sent to basically a gulag for watching a TV show. Now, how afraid are they that they are so wrong that they want to shut out all information, not just political information, but all information from getting to the North Korean people? They know that if they had any information at all, they would obviously rebel against their own government, which has been atrocious. Now, the other charges, as you saw there, were involvement in prostitution or possessing a Bible. See, that possessing the Bible thing, it also smacks of propaganda, like, oh, they're such, godless heathens, that's they kill people. Oh, let's go get them, good Christians, for killing people for possessing a Bible. So again, I take this with a huge grain of salt, but what North Korea has done is horrible, even if this story is not 100% verified, right? And by all means, it is certainly possible, and they do have a source on it, right? So look, one other thing that they said that they use as an excuse to execute people is watching American shows like Desperate Housewives. Now, again, atrocious, and I'm thinking of North Koreans watching Desperate Housewives, and God, they're in such a bad lot that it makes me a little ill to think about it, because they must be thinking like, if you've ever seen Desperate Housewives, even a scene of it, they're incredibly rich. They're in this lovely town. They all seem to have great lives, except then this fake drama happens, etc., with stealing each other's men and killing people, yada, yada, right? But they must be thinking, in America, that's what desperate is? They haven't seen real Desperate Housewives. They're in North Korea. And so it's a fascinating story. And then before you get too judgmental about the people of North Korea, though, remember that in our own presidential race in 2012, in the Republican primaries, Rick Perry was asked about his executions in his state of Texas and whether he lost any sleep over it. Now, watch not just Rick Perry's answer to that question here, but the Republican crowd's reaction.
Your state has executed 234 death row inmates, more than any other governor in modern times. Have you struggled to sleep at night with the idea that any one of those might have been innocent?
No, sir, I've never struggled with that at all. You will face the ultimate justice in the state of Texas, and that is you will be executed.
What do you make of
Now, you're telling me those folks wouldn't enjoy a good public execution?